story, certainly grabbing the headlines has been all the flooding happening along the Mississippi River, but, other areas affected too. Let's talk about, though, in the south, another story is that how chilly it has gotten out here. Memphis this morning, we've got a cool start. Flood warning does continue for the Mississippi River as the water moves downstream in Memphis. That includes you. We're not going to look for the impact nearly what we saw in places like the St. Louis area, but still up in moderate flood stage. And for Memphis, we're looking at one of our top January crests on record. So let's talk temperatures, though, in the south. We are looking at readings this morning as cold as in Alaska, just like in the Northeast. So Atlanta, we're comparing you to Anchorage, and we wouldn't put it up here if it wasn't close. 29 in Atlanta, 30 in Anchorage right now. This is crazy. Colder in Atlanta than Anchorage, Alaska. And there is a bit of a wind chill as well. Certainly the winds have died down a bit from yesterday. That's how the temperatures have been able to bottom out so much out there this morning. But that is going to be a factor for you. 28 in Nashville, 29 in Atlanta. Tampa temperatures starting off about 50. I bet there's a lot of spots in the 40s this morning, and another chilly day ahead across the hearing that in the update. We're going to go now to our weekend in view, and we're going to focus on the series of storms coming into the west. That's eventually going to track across the nation. Starting on Tuesday, very cold across the east, the coldest of the season, and yesterday was the coldest before that. And then as we get you into Wednesday, you're going to notice, of course, the west very active, but we start to get some pieces of energy into the middle of the country. Still cold enough that we'll see some snow in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Then by Thursday, you can see we'll get some snow up into Wisconsin and UP of Michigan, but a lot of rain tracking in Chicago with temperatures going up into the 30s and 40s. It's more rain by Friday. That tracks east all the way by the end of the week into Friday into the weekend. Rain into places like New York City, but then we get the snow matching up with the cold matching up with the moisture, and that's where we get the snow. We'll go from Denver to Minneapolis to maybe places like Madison, Wisconsin. Saturday wrapping things up with some snow, but then rain in places like Atlanta. It's that mild. Temperatures go back to 60. But you see the West Coast, no rest. We got another system lined up here as we get into the weekend, and we'll see that on Saturday. Sunday, it's the Northeast that remains active and helpful. And folks traveling this morning, you might need those snow tires. We'll show you where. It's 20 minutes past the hour on AMHQ early. We are your travel HQ. And it is pretty nasty commute yesterday in temperatures now, because now the snow is out of here in places like Pittsburgh, but it's cold. It's feeling sub-zero in a lot of spots. Actual readings are colder than in Alaska. So Philly and Fairbanks, we're going to put you neck and neck and see where we're at right now at this hour. It is 13 degrees in Philadelphia. 15 degrees in Fairbanks. So so close, but Philadelphia gets the wind for colder temperature. It is cold, it is windy, and it is dry. Your dew points have dropped off, and they're below zero. When your dew points get this low, this is Arctic air at its sort of best or worst. This is where if you're shocking someone as you walk across the carpet and you wake your kids up this morning, you're going to literally shock them with some static electricity. Extra chapstick you're going to need, extra moisturizer, extra water, everything out there because of the dry, cold air, and it's going to feel very cold this morning. When you factor in the wind plus the temperature, we are feeling like 2 below in Pittsburgh, 4 in New York City, and feeling like 7 below right now in Boston. You're going to feel it out there through the day today. We're not going to see a ton of improvement weather-wise here in terms of the cold. The cold is with us, the wind is with us, and it's not crazy windy, but it's enough to knock about 5 to 10 degrees at least off those temperatures. So as we get you into midweek, though, things change. Today and then somewhat tomorrow, we're going to continue the cold stretch, and then after that, we start the warm-up yet again. So here's what happens. We see the ridge build back in across portions of the east. There will be another round of cold coming into the Midwest, but it doesn't get here just yet. And so for New York City, we are below average today, tomorrow, but then we're right back up to average and above average through the weekend. We'll talk too much about warm-up, but even in winter, a warm-up is still cold enough to produce some snow. So I'll show you where that is coming into the Midwest. Let's start though with the big picture as we get the weekend in view. We're starting off with the coldest day that we have seen yet this season. You have to go back to last February for a lot of spots to have been this cold. So as we watch our series of storms from the west track in and track across the country, being this cold in the east, you're wondering, well, what's coming? Well, actually, we're going to warm up before these systems get to the east. Wednesday, a couple of snow showers are possible across Minnesota and Iowa. We'll see some rain returning into Texas. And then by the time we get to Thursday, now we start to see our area of low pressure develop. It's going to start to draw up some moisture. We will see temperatures, though, warming up to 36 in Chicago. So it's coming in as rain. As that tracks east, Atlanta, temperatures warming back up into the 50s, upper 50s. So it tracks in as rain. Same thing for you in D.C. and Philly and New York. Friday ending the week on a rainy note here. Chicago, we're 41 degrees on Friday. So big change, big turnaround temperature wise. But there is some cold air on the back edge of this. And by the weekend, you'll see some snowflakes possible in Des Moines and up into Madison as we track your Saturday forecast. Rain into most of the Northeast, so we'll keep an eye on New England for some spots that could mix in with some wintry precip. Then on Sunday, you can see some more rain sticking around there. Finally, on Sunday in the West, we get a break, but there are another series of storms lined up for next week as well. So very busy on the campaigning in that warm weather. All right, let's talk about the cold coming in, because that's going to affect everyone all the way down into the south. We are going to be looking for big dip in our jet stream, bringing in cold air. And with that in place, if you've got any little disturbance in the atmosphere, now you got the chance for some wintry weather. So let's track one system for you. It's really an upper level system that's going to drive a surface low to develop, and we'll see that off the coast. So as we track this here, getting into the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, we've got some scenarios set up for you. And again, looking at all of our models. And while they're similar, they're not exactly the same. So one scenario does bring accumulating snowfall in to the Northeast here, and that would be as a new low continues to strengthen off the coast and moves at that right position, perhaps right over the benchmark, that would allow us to throw some snow back into the Northeast. And at this point, it's cold. We're not worried about a rain-snow line. It's just snowfall. However, there's another scenario that as we see our new low form off the coast that is farther offshore and continues to move farther offshore, and that maybe we get a little bit of snow right along the eastern seaboard, but would not be affecting us in New Hampshire. And that's, of course, what we've been talking about here with the primary. So let's look at what's going on into next week. We are going to be watching for, again, the GFS model to take our low right offshore. And I know everything looks green on here, but you should know that everything to the left of this blue line is cold enough to snow. So it's all snow. Okay, so we track that, and that does bring some snow into New York, into parts of southern New England, but not so much into Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine, specifically New Hampshire, since we're talking about that. Let's look at the forecast then from the European model. Again, that one scooted through pretty quickly, but that one moves off very fast here offshore. So we look at the forecast here, and it looks like a sloppy mess. And we've got that chance for that rain-snow mix. Pittsburgh, D.C., New York City, not until Monday night. Into Tuesday, do we track that coming your way? Up into New England, including into Vermont, including into New Hampshire and Maine. Snow in the forecast. Hard to not put it in the forecast, really, because the models show signs of it. But know that this is a complex situation. There's no sort of obvious one storm that's going to throw in a ton of snowfall. And the models, you know, all have sort of varying. What fun. We'll give you some more snow to play into. So here we go. Tracking Winter Storm Kaylee. Steph and I just talked about it. Moves east this weekend, bringing snow first to the Midwest. And it's not going to be the foot of snow you saw in North Dakota this past week, but you'll get a couple of new inches out there, especially across South Dakota, Minnesota, into Iowa. We're going to see some snow in Chicago. 2 rounds, likely one early in the day, all snow late in the day. We're going to watch that rain-snow line really closely. Indy, you're right on it as well. We'll watch southern Ohio, Cincinnati. Should be all rain, but a chilly rain as that. And then the Northeast is on a Monday. This morning on AMHQ, we've got some rain for the rush hour. Here we go. Already some thunder, lightning, and heavy rain, but we're tracking storms across the south that could turn severe later today. Especially that gets sort of wrapped, the moisture gets wrapped up into the Northeast, the energy gets wrapped up into the Northeast, and we're going to end up with another big snowstorm again in New England. It starts across western New York today. We've got snow out there right now in Buffalo. We look out there, temperatures running a little above the freezing mark, 34 degrees. Snow boots, you will need them here in the Buffalo area. Finally, you've had no snow on the ground right now. We're running 17 inches below average since December 1st in Buffalo. Yeah, I mean, if you like snow, you could use a little bit of it, and we are getting that actually right now. Some light snow, you know, maybe an inch or two kind of snowfall through today. Could get another inch or two through tonight across western New York. But then watch what happens. Now, everything coming together. Again, we're going to see our low off the coast, gain some energy from our system moving through the Great Lakes, and that will strengthen. That will again be a very strong low pressure, making the wind whip up again across parts of Maine into certainly it's getting into the Canadian Maritimes as well. Now, watch what happens first, though. Tonight, we're going to get these south winds that bring up some of the warmer air. We'll get that coastal front to set up. In Portland, for us, we start as rain, then we mix over to snow. We change over to snow with that cold air, and the more time you spend in snow, Portland, the more snow you're going to get. Inland areas should be mostly all snow. And so that will keep us, of course, getting the bigger totals in inland areas wrapping up by tomorrow night. So overnight tonight will be, I think, some of the biggest snow amounts coming down into early tomorrow morning, ending up with more than a foot of snow up there in interior parts of Maine. Now we go down to Boston, and you saw that south wind. It's going to make our temperatures a little more mild. It's going to mean that it takes a while for us to change over to any snow, but we finish things out with snow overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, getting an inch or two of snow in town, a little more north of town. Again, rain overnight tonight, but then those temperatures dropping right below the freezing mark, and we get a little bit of snow in Boston. All right, meanwhile, we're asking, where's winter in the Midwest, Reynolds? Where we saw over land, actually. Let's show you a much quieter weather pattern in the southern plains. Things are looking much better in Houston. We got that north wind out there bringing in the drier air. Dallas, 44 degrees. Dallas, you have yet to hit 32 this month. We have not seen a below freezing temperature at all this month, and obviously you're not doing it this morning, even behind the cold front. Today we go back to up to near average. 61 degrees in Dallas, will be in the mid-50s farther north. All right, and then the trend is warming up. Houston, we're back to the 80s again. Take a look. Today we'll be in the mid to upper 60s, tomorrow as well. Next chance of storms comes in quickly on Friday, but then right back to low 80s by Saturday. The trend continues. We're watching western New York, a little bit of snow out there this morning. When it comes together off the coast, then winter storm Pluto really gets going. So Boston, you are in the mix. Let's take a look out here courtesy of EarthCam. You can see what a nice, beautiful morning we have. Actually, temperatures running about 29. I love how you can see the sun glint off the building there. So looking out over the Charles River, no big deal this morning in Boston. What you got to watch for is later today. We've got winter storm watches up just north of the Boston area. Warnings farther north, including the Portland area up towards Bangor, where we just are still probably cleaning up from our fourth snowiest snowstorm. We just had that from Orson. Now here we go, Bangor, and then down to Portland in between. Bigger snows coming in. Right now, the snow that you're seeing on the radar across western New York and down into Pennsylvania, it's just too mild to get a lot. Temperatures are 34, 35, even 40 down in Pennsylvania. But as we get the cold air to filter in, and it will, well, I think we'll see more accumulation, a couple inches today from western New York to Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and then overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. This is when our low really gets cranking off the coast. So Jim mentioned what, Jim? 970?
968.
Longest of the lows that we've seen just yet. We just had 3 storms, right? This is number 3 in a week. This one could be the strongest in terms of how strong that low pressure is. So that's going to mean wind. It's going to mean some banding of snow as well. And again, picking up more than a foot in some areas. Concord, here we go again. Snow overnight tonight. Like temper. Another concern will be debris slides, mudslides like this. I mean, it has been such a stormy season, right? And back to back to back storms on the West Coast continues to cause issues like this rock slide we saw around the Tahoe area. Route 50, this is where boulders just covered the roadway, shut it down for about a week. This road connects Carson City to South Lake Tahoe. Nevada DOT announcing last night that the road is finally back open. But let's talk about how debris slides and mudslides and landslides can happen. They're all a little bit different. A landslide is when literally the entire land gives way, and this is how it happens. You get a lot of rainfall. It actually penetrates completely through the soil until reaching that impenetrable layer. So basically, the ground gets lifted up by a layer of water underneath, and gravity gives way. It overcomes surface tension at some point, and gravity gives way. Of course, it depends on the slope of the land, how much rain, etc., what the use of the land has been. But eventually, this happens, and if this happens, it can be devastating. This can move at 60+ miles per hour, causing a lot of devastation in its path. Reynolds.